Hi. She's gonna be okay. I'm never filming with him home ever again. But I'm still so upset. That was not okay. You can't have the milk. You're kinda in the frame. Hi! You got goobies in your eyeball. I hate this book. I don't actually. This book is crazy! Jump scare. You guys look crooked. Now you look more crooked. See, now I don't feel good about it. Hello. I just breathed on you. Hi guys, welcome back to another reading vlog. Today we are tackling my TBR because I have, let me double check, I have 244 books on my physical TBR. That is an insane amount of books, and I have placed myself on a book buying ban until I can get that much lower, and I have hired my boyfriend to keep me in line. Even when I want books, he won't let me buy books, and it's really hard because there's a lot of great new releases, especially Soul Searching and Mate are at the very top of my list, so we need to tackle as many physical books that I already have as possible so I can buy all of these really fun new releases. I also have my lovely tea. Little Jack Skellington moment. I love him. But today I was going to title this like mood reading my TBR, but I think it's more fun to say tackling my TBR with the point of making this a series and trying to get my physical TBR down as little as possible because I have such amazing series. I have the Windy City series, I have the Chestnut Springs series, I have the Ravenhood series, I have half of the Throne of Glass series, I have the Akatar series. All of these books I physically own and still have not read, so there's literally no excuse. I can't even say that I'm not interested because I have some of the top series on my shelves just waiting to be read. This entire shelf, this skinny one behind me, is all of my physical TBR, and I also have a TBR cart, and this chair here has been taken over by all of these books that I have. And I just hate the clutter, honestly. I hate the clutter of them on my floors. I hate the clutter of not being able to sit in my chair, and I want to buy new books. So today we are going to be doing episode 1 of tackling my TBR in the hopes that I can get it under 200 and hopefully under 100. I haven't set a rule for myself yet. I have to be under 200 to buy a book. The vague rule I have with my boyfriend is that once I read 10 books, I can offer a suggestion of a book to buy and he can deny it or veto it. That's our little agreement. I have broken the rule once and bought it without asking. I don't remember what I was saying, but the cat is now in our rooms. Don't eat my tripod, oh my gosh. Okay, so in this vlog, we are reading as many books as I can. I'll probably do 3. The hardest part is I don't even really know where to start. I considered using my little prompt jar, which is made out of an old candle, but I considered using this little jar, and I have a bunch of prompts in here that we might use. If you can hear my dogs barking, I apologize. It's a common issue in this house. For example, they might say, book that starts with a J, which would actually be very helpful because I have an A to Z challenge on my reading journal and I still need to get a J. We might do this. I'm just kind of curious what other suggestions would pop up. Another suggestion is your favorite cover. Ooh, so like my favorite cover that's on my physical TBR, or book published last year. I definitely have a lot of those. I think at first I'm just going to choose some books that are on my mind. Sometimes it also depends on which Libby holds I have available. So we're gonna see kind of what direction we go, and this might appear in future episodes of this series, but right now I'm just very excited to get through this TBR because it's honestly overwhelming me and I don't know which book to read right now. First, we have to pick our book. I have been reading The Games Gods Play. Stop eating my tripod. I'm currently reading The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen, but I think I'm going to DNF it for now. I also love this edition because it's so beautiful. When I was reading it and we were first introduced to Hades, he was giving father figure and not love interest. So now that they're starting to have more physical interactions, it's kind of giving me the ick. So I think I'm gonna put this down for now. I do want to revisit it in the future, but I'm not having a good time and it's making me not want to read. I've been on a reading kick lately because I read Quicksilver, which was a 6-star for me. I read the Assistant to the Villain trilogy. It's gonna have a 4th book, but that comes out I think next year. And I got through all of those in like a week. And then I read this and I have barely read at all. So I think that's a sign that I need to DNF for now and select a new book for this vlog. This is the remainder of my fall TBR. I think, is this it? No, there's more. There's another book. The Fake Mate is somewhere. That's also on my TBR. But this is my fall TBR. I am torn between making a werewolf video. I would love to make a book about werewolves and use these two and then The Fake Mate. So then that only really leaves these books. But I'm not really in the mood for either. So, ooh, we could read Wayward. Wayward sounds good. We could read The Phoenix Keeper. We could read Onyx Storm. Should we read Onyx Storm? I bought Onyx Storm on release day, but I didn't realize that the dramatic version, the dramatized version of the audiobook don't come out till months later. So I still haven't read it. The audiobooks have been out since like May, but I have just been putting it off because there's been other books. So maybe we read Onyx Storm. I love this series. It's a 5-star series and I feel like that would really get me in the mood for reading again. I also, don't eat my iPad. Wayward also sounds really good because it's like a witchy vibe and that would be fun for fall because it's currently October. So we might read Wayward. I also really need to read this book. It's called My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. I've never heard of this book, but it was a gift from my dad's girlfriend and I had gifted her The Conditions of Will and she's read it, loved it, and she's now currently reading my second recommendation, Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz or Lenz Joy. I have to get to her book. She's already read 2 of my recommendations. I really need to read her recommendation and this is one of her favorite books ever. So this is on the list. There was also one more. He's chewing on my tripod, so he's in jail right now. But we also have The Book of Doors, which I've heard is very, very good, and The Phoenix Keeper, which sounds really good because it's basically a zoo of dragons and that sounds really awesome. Magical zoo teeming with mythical beasts and a soul-restoring queer romance at its heart, which sounds phenomenal. So I think these will be the 4 books to choose from. Ow. Actually, it's 5 books. This is kind of where my head's at. I'm a little afraid of reading Onyx Storm first and then being in a reading slump. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm not really sure which one I'm gonna read first. I have some stuff to do today and then I'll probably read later in the day. So I will let you know then the book that I've decided to read. I'm being very indecisive right now. I think this is a good little list. I am leaning toward Onyx Storm though. I'm probably gonna read Onyx Storm and then Wayward and then I don't know what's gonna be third, but we'll probably do Onyx Storm first. Oh my god, you should see the tripod right now. Kitty, I need you to move so we can show the tripod. Oh my god. The tripod is just books, toilet paper, lotion on my nightstand. But I am getting ready for bed and I wanted to share some thoughts because I just started the part 2 Okay, he's going to bed. This cat chews on everything, so I have to put him to bed. But I wanted to update you and open a package that I forgot I had because it'll be really exciting. So far, I'm about halfway through. Like I said, my camera's gonna die, so I have to be quick. But I got this glue tape because I've been doing more book journal scrapbooking. Then I got some water guns for the dogs and the cat because I'm trying to get them to stop being so sassy. And then I got some buttons for my jeans. Just these things that are like the fake buttons to help tighten your pants without a belt. But so far, as for Onyx Storm, I'm really liking it so far. I feel like it has a lot of stakes that make sense because I recently read I recently read the third book in the Assistant to the Villain series. I think it's called Accomplice to the Villain, and that plot just didn't really make any sense to me. It was really unfortunate because I love the characters so much and I love the setting, but the plot just wasn't my favorite. So I'm glad that this one, the plot makes sense and I'm having a good time. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really loving being back in the atmosphere with the characters. Obviously very high stakes. I'm not gonna say much about this book since it is a third book in a series, but as you know, they are in this war college and they are preparing for war. Everyone has dragons, or at least most of the main characters that we follow have dragons, but there are different quadrants in this college. So some people are healers, some people are infantry, then there's riders, and then there's scribes. So we see some of the scribes, we see some healers, things like that, but we're following the rider quadrant for the most part. And I'm sure you know all about this series. It's hard to avoid it, just like the ACOTAR series, but I'm really excited to learn more about what's to come because there's a cliffhanger at the end of book 2, and in book 3 we're basically going through how to solve that cliffhanger and what to do about that because that was a whole situation. It was a big deal and now we're trying to figure out what to do, but I'm really liking it. I forgot how, not graphic, but how weird it is to listen to spicy scenes on a graphic audio version. You would think an audiobook is weird enough, and then they add so many other sounds and miscellaneous things, so it just makes it really awkward. I was listening to a spicy scene while on a walk with my dogs in my neighborhood, and I was like, huh, this is a weird feeling. But I still like the couple a lot. I don't get weirded out for the most part about those things. I really like Xaden and Violet, and I can see their chemistry. I can see why they're together. I hate when I don't understand why the couple is together and then their intimate scenes just feel really awkward. That's why I had to DNF, or at least soft DNF, the games gods play, because I just couldn't get into their relationship. I felt like they didn't really fit together. I thought it was more leadership father figure than a intimate partner. So I think next time I try to read that book again, I have to shift my mindset from knowing that he's going to be the love interest and kind of prepping my mind for that instead of seeing him as a father figure. Anyway, we're talking about Onyx Storm. I just started part 2, so I'll have 10 hours until I'm done with the full book. I probably won't listen to much of it for the next 2 days because we're going into the city for a birthday party and then we're staying the night. I just can't get this open. Sorry if I'm looking down a lot. I'm trying to get these buttons open, but I can't. But we're going into town into the city for my boyfriend's brother's birthday party, so I probably won't be reading much. So the next time you see me, it'll probably be like 2 or 3 days from now, and we'll kind of catch up on where we're at, finish the book probably, and then think about what book we want to read next, because I really don't know what vibe I'm in for. I've been reading a lot of fantasy books lately, and I do know I really want to get to that Frederick Bachman book, but I just don't know if that's the vibe right now, and I really don't want to not like that book since it is. Welcome back. My hairs. Hi, Ranger. Can you go lay down? Hi. You want to come up? Come up here. There you go. There you go. My hair is just a mess, so we're gonna ignore that. But welcome back to me. You guys have been here for a bit. It's a few days later. We went to the city to see some family and celebrate some birthdays, and it was a lot of fun. We just got back yesterday or the day before. Yesterday, I took the entire day just to relax. It was a lot of walking. It was a lot of socializing, and I barely moved yesterday. So today, we have a problem because I am halfway through Onyx Storm, but Hoopla is not working. And I looked on TikTok, and everyone else's Hoopla is not working as well, so it's not just me. I don't know when it's going to be back up. I hope very soon because I'm in the middle of a book, but I do have Libby, luckily, so I was going through all of the books that are available now and going through which ones are on my physical TBR. So we have a few options. We have Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. That one my boyfriend's mom gave me. She was going through her shelves, gave me a bunch of books. This one looked somewhat decent, so I kept it. We're gonna figure out whether it's good or not. I also have The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This one I got from my library book sale. Sounds very good, heard very good things about it. And then I also have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I found this book at a Half Price Books and I was able to find it in the original cover, which is crazy because that hasn't been printed in a long time. I also have Mate borrowed, but I'm not gonna read it in this vlog because I don't have the physical copy of that yet, so it's not technically on my TBR, but I wanted to reserve it before it was no longer available. I will read it in the next 21 days. Maybe I'll finally make my next vlog the Reading Werewolf books as an excuse just to read that. I also have One Dark Window that's due in 6 days, but I think I want to make that its own video of reading the duology. It is between Into the Water, The Vanishing Half, and Love in Other Words. I don't know. I will say they're all intriguing me in different ways. Into the Water, I believe, is a thriller, and that just sounds very interesting to me. The Vanishing Half, I've heard very, very good things about. And then Love in Other Words is just like a rom-com romance, I believe. Love in Other Words is only 8 hours. That could be nice. I also know it's a very highly anticipated book because everyone loves that book. But something's drawing me to Into the Water and The Vanishing Half. I just don't know which one I want to do. I think I'm gonna do The Vanishing Half. And if I'm not really feeling it, we'll bounce around between the books and I'll find one that I really love, and then hopefully we'll get Onyx Storm back in a little bit. So let's start with The Vanishing Half. I'm going to make some mug rugs. If you don't know, I have a small business where I make a bunch of just bookish things. I make bookmarks, stickers, cups, mug rugs. I have an old version when I first learned how to do them here. So this is what my coffee's on. It's just like a little coaster, but they're much cuter than a little coaster. It's just a baby rug. That's why they're called mug rugs. So that's just on my table. I'm making a mushroom one because lately I've decided these take forever to make, by the way. They take about an hour to make. So instead of keeping a stock on my website and constantly having to fulfill orders, I've decided I'm just going to make them in batches and then upload them in batches. So if you're ever interested in buying one, I will keep my social medias updated. I'll update my Instagram, most likely the fastest, but then maybe I'll make a TikTok as well whenever these go in stock. These are very popular. They're just very tedious and they take forever to make, so it's much easier just to make a batch of them and upload what I have instead of fulfilling orders all the time. I'm going to listen to The Vanishing Half. I also have just random YouTube videos playing in the background, and we'll see kind of how far we get with the book and my mug rug. I'm about 42% through the book. 46% through the book. It just updated. And wow, I have so many thoughts. There's so many things going on in this book, yet nothing at the same time, if that makes sense. So I would say the main characters in this story are these set of twins. It's Desiree and Stella. Let me grab the book. I went into this story completely blind. I wasn't sure at all what this was about, and wow, was I unprepared. Twins, inseparable as children, ultimately choose to live in two very different worlds, one black and one white. These sisters will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small southern black community and running away at age 16, it's not just the shape of their daily lives that is different as adults, it's everything, including their racial identities. Many years later, one sister lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she once tried to escape. Across the country, the other secretly passes for white, and her white husband knows nothing of her past. Still, although separated by so many miles and just as many lies, the fates of the twins remain intertwined. What will happen when their own daughters' storylines intersect? Weaving together multiple strands and generations from the deep south to California, from the 1950s to the 1990s, The Vanishing Half is at once a riveting, emotional family story and a brilliant exploration of race, gender, and identity, and the lasting influence of the past as it shapes a person's desires and expectations. That is the perfect way to describe this book. I'm very happy with that summary. Sometimes I don't always read the blurbs before I read a book. Sometimes I just go in completely blind like I did this time. It is about these two twins. Desiree is the twin that has a black daughter and has moved back to their small town. I don't remember what state it's in, but it's in the south. It's a small area where it's a largely black community, but they favor people who have lighter skin over people who have darker skin, and people who have darker skin are talked down to just experience more racism on a daily basis than people who have lighter skin, even though they are the same race. And I've heard about this in the real world. Obviously, I'm not part of that community, but I've heard about this taking place in other minorities where the lighter the skin you have, the better you're treated, which has always been weird to me, but also like I can see how that may happen just with all of the racism that's in this country. The closer you can look to that like white person, the better in the eyes of like messed up people. I don't feel like I am the perfect person to explain all of the complexities of this book, but it is so, I don't even know what the word is. At first, I was like, where are we going with this? Because one other thing is that they change perspectives and point of views so fast. And at first I was like, oh crap, like we've been searching for Stella for the first third of this book, and then we're in Stella's point of view. And I was like, wait, she just said her name is Stella. Is that Stella? It's so, sorry if you can hear the train in the background, but it's so confusing at times when you don't really know what's happening and then boom, you're in someone else's point of view. The mom will be talking, Desiree, and then you're going into her daughter's point of view, but her daughter's like 6, and then 2 minutes later her daughter's 12, and then she's going off to college, and it's kind of fast. And right now we're halfway through and we've gone through like 5 people's perspectives, so it's kind of hard to keep up at times, but it's very interesting because the storyline's really going nowhere, but you're learning so much, and there's so much metaphorically and symbolically happening. And I feel like, especially in today's world, because unfortunately we are going backwards in the US, all of this is very much still at play. Nothing has really progressed in terms of racism in the United States, and even though this is based in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and through the 90s, it's sad that you can still say the same things about the world and where we're at, unfortunately. It's just so complex. So we have Desiree, she's living in the small town with her daughter. Her daughter, at the point that I'm at now, her daughter is at college. Desiree is still living in her small town. She's been there for over 10 years now. They lived there when they were kids, then they ran away at 16. They lived in New Orleans for a little bit, then Desiree came back because Desiree had married a man named Sam, and he was very abusive. That's the father of her daughter. And they were married for a while, then she just couldn't do the abuse anymore, so she left in the middle of the night. Sam at one point tried to find her, could not find her, now he has a separate family. And then we kind of move into her daughter, what's her name? I forgot her daughter's name. Crap, what's her daughter's name? I forgot already. But we move into her daughter's perspective, and her daughter is in college, and she meets a trans man named Reese. So then we also get to see part of Reese's journey and what it's like to be a trans person in this time period in the US. Even now, again, like I said, nothing has really changed in this country as for being more accepted as people of minority groups. I had to go let my dogs out. I don't remember what I was talking about. But the daughter's now in school. She meets Reese, so we get a little background on what it's like to be transgender at this time, at least his experience. And then we go into Stella's point of view, which we just got introduced to, so I don't have that much background, but Stella is married, she has a daughter, and she is pretending to be white, or at least she's trying to pass as white. And she's actually kind of rude and somewhat racist to other black people in this world because she's afraid that they're gonna be able to tell that she's black and she's not a white woman, because her entire identity and world is that she's a white woman. Her daughter is white, her husband is white, and she is going to tell everyone till the day she dies that she is white, because I'm assuming, obviously it's not a movie, we don't really know what she looks like. I'm assuming she has very light skin and is able to pass as a white woman. I don't know exactly how she's pulling that off, but she is. Everyone in her life thinks she's white, and she does not want to be around anyone who can out her for not being white. So she is very apprehensive to be around black people. She does not want them living in her neighborhood. She does not want them around her, and even her white husband is like, wow, you're kind of hard on them, like you are very outspoken about this when you're usually very calm and timid. So he's kind of noticing these things, and it'll be interesting to see how long she's able to pull this off and if she's ever found out or where the story goes. But this one is a crazy one. As for the plot line, I feel like it's not really going anywhere. We're kind of just learning about them and their life, but nothing's really happening. Like, this is just a week in the life video, you know? But as for the symbolism of what's going on, there's a lot to be said because you're getting a lot of diverse characters and their storylines. So I'm also excited to see who we get introduced to next, because I'm assuming it's just gonna keep snowballing into Stella's daughter. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna wrap this up, but it'll be interesting to see if we learn more about Stella's daughter and Stella's husband and kind of where this goes. But this book so far is very, very interesting, very crazy, very wild, very complex, but I am having a good time. I've been binging it for the past few hours and I'm really enjoying it. I'm out of breath, so I will let you guys know where I'm at. I don't know when I'm gonna update. I don't know if I'm gonna read anymore tonight. I did read a lot today, so I'm probably gonna finish it tomorrow, if not the next day, so I will keep you updated. And hopefully we can get Onyx Storm back. I still haven't checked Hoopla to see if we have it back yet. It looks like Hoopla is back up and running, but I think my boyfriend changed the password, so I need to ask him and I will let you know later what's going on. I don't like what's happening. I hate this book. I don't actually. I am just emotionally attached and I'm upset with the current state of my favorite characters. I'm not gonna say really anything about the book because it is the third book in a series. I feel like the plot would really spoil the experience if someone wanted to read it for the first time. So how do I go about this? All I will say is there better be a cure. There better be a cure because I can't suffer like this. I refuse to read 2 more books in this series and not have a happily ever after. Someone has already died and it was very sad and tragic. I just want people to have a happy ending. Why is that so hard? Why can't people just be happy? It's so frustrating because, without saying too much, our main couple aren't able to really be together that often throughout this book, and it's really frustrating because I just want them to be in love and happy and perfect. And as someone who loves them as a couple and as characters individually, it's really frustrating to read this entire book, hours and hours of this book, and to have them hardly together. There better be a cure or an answer by the end of this book, because if Miss Rebecca Yarros leaves us on a cliffhanger and we have to wait until book 4 to figure out if it's gonna have a happy ending, I'm gonna be really upset. I don't know. I'm just upset. I have 4 hours and 48 minutes left of the book. I do know 2 spoilers because this book has been out since January and it's hard to kind of avoid spoilers with a book series this big. So I'm looking forward to one, not looking forward to another because it's another death that I know happens and I'm assuming that'll be very, very sad and tragic. There's always the end of these books and it's really sad. I hope that's not too much of a spoiler. I'm gonna cut that out. But I am having a good time, although I am ready to kind of move on. I need to stop filming at night because I just get so tired. But I am ready to move on to some other books. I really want to read The Book of Doors. I want to read The Phoenix Keeper. I want to read that Frederick Bachman book. I want to read so many books on my physical TBR. I really want to read Throttled. That's an F1 romance that I have that's been just in my mind lately. I have so many books to read and I'm just really excited. So sometimes when I get to like that 70% mark through a book, I start just thinking about new books, but I need to stay on track and just get through this one. Right now I don't know what I would rate it. It's between a 4-star, 4.5. I'm not really sure. I love this series. I feel like there isn't gonna be a book I don't like in this series is my prediction. I just don't really know. It's the ending that's gonna make my decision. Right now it's been very interesting, very plot heavy, a lot of things happening, and they work. You know, sometimes there's a lot going on and it just is too much. This, I would say there's a lot going on, but it does work. And I feel bad that I can't really explain that, because usually I like to explain what's going on to let you in on kind of what I'm experiencing. But again, with series, I try to be really careful to not spoil the other books or to spoil the entire series, because it's very easy to do. My cat loves to eat my headphones. Bad kitty. I'm gonna keep this brief. Also, side note, if you don't follow my small business page, we just launched bookmarks. I'll show them to you really quick. We just had a new collection of 7 new bookmarks and I love them a lot. So this is just a brief little, they're upside down, just a brief little shout out to my little small business. This is a little stripey bookmark. I named it the Friday bookmark. It's like Wednesday Addams in her series. And these I named the Wizard Club bookmarks because they are the Harry Potter houses, but I can't use that branding. And then I put my house on the back. Then we have Hot Ghouls Read. Love that. It's super cute. My camera's kind of blurry, but super cute. Then Hot Girls Read in this like 90s kind of Mean Girls 2000s font. Then a cute little flannel one, just a little orangey flannel one. And then a, what I call the Blueberry Beach Towel, because we currently have a Raspberry Beach Towel, and this is a blue version. So if you like bookmarks, if you read physically and not on a Kindle or audiobook, here are some bookmarks for you. We also have a bunch of other ones, so I always have everything linked in the description of the videos that I make. So that's just a quick little shout out because we launched them yesterday. And it's the first launch I've done in a while because I just haven't had any creativity when it comes to my small business because I've been so focused on work and schools. I really love them. This isn't a great time to advertise them while I'm listening to an audiobook. Speaking of said audiobook, I'm going to get back to it, finish this book hopefully tomorrow. I doubt I'll have enough time to finish it today, but most likely tomorrow, and then I will give final rankings, final thoughts, and we will pick the next book because right now my mind is all over the place. I really don't know what book I want to read next, so I'll pick it with you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow most likely. It should be illegal that the graphic audio plays sad music during this sad part of the book, because it's making it even worse. She's gonna be okay, but I'm still so upset. Oh. That was not okay. That was not okay at all. That was not okay at all. This book is crazy! I'm sorry, what? No. No one told me about this. No one told me about this. It's gotta be, like, reversible. It's gotta be reversible. It's gotta be reversible. These sons of bitches. Ah, son of a bitch. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. I just finished, and it's just not fair. That is not how I thought any of that was gonna go. But I do like that we got more point of views, because usually the entire book is in Violet's point of view, and then the very last chapter is Zayden's point of view. This time we got Rhiannon's point of view, we got Imogen's point of view for a chapter, and it was really cool. But that ending makes me so upset. That ending made me so upset. I'm so upset. I need to cope. I need to grieve and cope and scream a little and let it all out, because that was not okay. That was not cool. That's just not cool. Rebecca, why? That's just not cool. That's not cool. That's not cool. I have just under an hour left of The Vanishing Half. The last thing I was talking about, I believe, was finishing Onyx Storm, and we were gonna pick up a new book. I forgot that we had already read half of The Vanishing Half. I've been finishing that today, and we have 59 minutes left, and I don't really know where the story is going. It's about two twins, as I said, who drift apart, and now they're starting to come back together, and they're gonna meet for the first time in years and decades. But I don't really know what the point of the story is, other than the symbolism of it. I don't know if that was the author's purpose in writing this book. I don't really know. I'm gonna check the book to see. Sometimes they have it mentioned in their acknowledgements or in an author's note. Let me see. She doesn't really mention anything in her acknowledgements, but I also didn't know this is her second novel, so apparently she also wrote a book called The Mothers, and this is the second book that she's written. I'm reading one of the reviews on the back, because usually they have little quotes from different people. Like, they have quotes from People, the Boston Globe, Washington Post, but they also have some quotes from two other authors. This one says, "The Vanishing Half is an utterly memorizing novel which gripped me from the very first word to the last. It seduces with its literary flair, surprises with its breathtaking plot twists, delights with its psychological insights, and challenges us to consider the corrupting consequences of racism on different communities and individual lives." I absolutely love this book. I don't really agree with plot twists and psychological insights. Well, I guess I do with the psychological part. I guess just the plot twists, like, I wouldn't really say this is a plot twist book. I wouldn't say there's much plot at all in it. I feel like it's mostly symbolism and imagery about how racism impacts different communities, like this person said. I feel like it's more just a take on racism than a fictional story, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to explain it. I was explaining the plot of this book to my boyfriend, and even he was getting overwhelmed with how much is included in this book, because there is so much great representation. Obviously, most of the main cast and main characters are African American, and then one of the other characters is African American and transgender. So there's a lot of great representation in showing kind of some struggles and some, what's the word, like some adversities that they experience on a daily basis. But I feel like there's so much just packed into one book. I feel like everyone could have had their own book, and you could really expand on each of their perspectives, because it just jumps around point of views a lot, because you're in one twin's point of view, then you're in their daughter's point of view, but then their daughter's like 10 years older, and then you're learning about her daughter's relationship, and then you jump to the other twin, and then you're in her point of view, and then it's like, it's a lot going on at once. I would say it's very entertaining, but I couldn't really tell you what it's about, if that makes sense. It's really just like watching a documentary, but there's no real point besides racism. You're watching a documentary about racism, but there's no storytelling. It's just watching. Like, there's just cameras up, and you're just hearing their daily kind of struggles, experiences, but there's no storyline for it. It's interesting. It's different. I don't really know what I'm gonna rate this. Right now I'm thinking of 4, because while I do feel like some parts of it bother me, I do still think it is interesting, important, and worth reading, because the characters go through so much. There's so many diverse characters, there's so many experiences that you're learning about, and then there's so many like messed up things going on. So it is still interesting, and I think it's very important to show the impact of racism, especially in current day when the world is just not so great right now. Not that it really ever has been. We have a very dark history when it comes to racism in the US, but I think it's important to highlight these, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm at a loss for words today. Not like the themes, but I'm just gonna go with themes because I can't think of a better word. But the themes of colorism and preferring people with lighter skin even within the same race, and treating those of darker skin more poorly, or just poorly because of their skin, yet within the same racial group you should be on the same, you know, level, but it's not. It's just not. We'll see how this book ends. I also really love the cover. It's a beautiful cover. Also, I just want to mention I've had some critiques of this book. No hate at all to this author, Britt Bennett. I could never write a book. I could never ever do this. So props to anyone I ever read on this channel, any books I ever read. Even if I have critiques and don't absolutely love it, they're already doing so much better than I ever could. English was my worst subject. I shouldn't even really be critiquing storytelling at all. This is just my experience reading it. I have no experience writing anything, so take me with a grain of salt. It is still a very interesting book, and I am very excited to finish it. Let's get back into the book, but I have a very exciting thing to show you. I am so excited. I was at Costco yesterday and I got the Twilight series. It was $80. It's originally, this whole series, I believe, it's so blurry. I believe this original series is $139 and I got it for 80 bucks. So I'm very, very excited. It was the last one and it was like under the table. So I decided to finally get it. I've been wanting it for a while. The last time we were at Costco, they had a bunch of them. This time it was the only one left, so I was able to get it and I'm very, very excited. So I'm going to do an unboxing on my TikTok and then these bad boys will be in a reading vlog hopefully before the end of the year, but I can't make any promises, so we'll see. I'm so excited though. I'm so excited. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful, and I will show you all the details when the reading vlog comes out. I'm out of breath, but I'm going to finish off this book and then we'll just do a recap of both of them, honestly, because I don't feel like recapping Onyx Storm right now. So I'm gonna finish it, and then tomorrow when I have better lighting, a better setup, when I'm not just fresh out of the shower, we'll talk about the details of both. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so I'm a liar. I told you guys that I was going to come back, say my reviews of the books, and then we were gonna pick out the third book, but I have already chosen our third book and I've already started reading it because yesterday I wanted to go take my dogs out, and I usually listen to an audiobook when I take my dogs out. I just chose one that I already had in my Libby, so we are reading Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. So far, I don't really know how I feel about it. It's about this like drowning pool, this river that they call the drowning pool, and people, specifically young women, keep drowning in this pool and they can't tell if they are purposely jumping or if people are putting them there. They don't really know how they end up there and they don't really know why people are dying. So they're investigating these two deaths. One is of a girl in high school and one is of that girl's friend's mom. So the cops also aren't sure if they're really connected or not. So far, it's feeling like a 3 to 3.5 star. I'm not really sure how it's gonna end. This was just a book that my boyfriend's mom gave me, so it was on my physical TBR and it looked interesting, so I decided to go for it because it was available on Libby right away. But I really don't know how I feel about it, and I've decided that I'm also gonna do final reviews all at the end, just because I like to sit on my review and my thoughts on a book for a bit, and it's just easier to do them all at once. I'm not sure if this is gonna be one where the twist at the end really gets me, but we'll see. There has been a lot of point of views though, and some point of views are from back in time, like the 1920s. So at times it gets confusing when you're reading the audiobook because you don't always catch when they change point of views. But I was looking through the physical copy and at the beginning of each chapter it says who's talking. So that's something where I feel like it'd be better to read, and I might just immersive read it later so that I can actually get the feeling of reading it along with the audiobook, because it's easier to keep track of that way. Sometimes I love audiobooks because it helps with the pronunciation of certain names, but other times you kind of miss when things are like a letter and it's like typed differently. So on the page it's clear that it's not the main character's point of view, but you might miss those cues in the audiobook, especially if you're not paying really close attention, because sometimes I think I can listen to the audiobook. Last night after our walk, hold on, the train's here and my window's open, so hold please. Really cute cup. What was I saying before the train came? Oh, that like sometimes it's hard when you're not paying attention, because last night I was watching football, or I was trying to listen to the audiobook and then watch football, but I found myself kind of forgetting to pay attention to my book. So today, hopefully we're gonna be able to finish it. I'm not sure if that's possible, but we're gonna try, and then I'll probably say a few things here and there, and then we'll go to the end with the review of everything. I will see you guys then. Milk. I have my jammies on. I'm getting cozy for the night and doing some computer work, but I wanted to say a few things about the book so far. I forgot to mention earlier, check the trigger warnings for this book. There's a lot of mentions of, okay, Gus loves milk, so anytime there's any milk out, he's obsessed. He's part cat. I have my milk and cookies because I always need a sweet treat before bed or just after dinner. But check the trigger warnings because there's a lot of mentions or alluding to or talks about self-harm, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say suicide on YouTube, but unaliving yourself is mentioned a lot because all these women keep passing away and they don't know if it's because they wanted to or because it was an accident or because someone else wanted them to pass away. I don't know what the rules are on YouTube about these kind of topics, so I'm gonna leave it at that. There's also the presence of an inappropriate relationship between an adult and a child, a girl that's in a high school. There's no graphic details or anything like that, but if that's something that really bothers you, you hear from the male's point of view and he's like talking his shit. He is very irritating, and if that's something that you can't really handle, because there's just certain topics where I get really bothered and I don't want to hear anyone being a jerk about it. So if that's something for you, maybe skip over those parts in the book, skip over his chapter, or just don't read this book because he was in an inappropriate relationship with a high schooler and he does have a delusional mindset where he thinks he did absolutely nothing wrong. Just warnings for that. I forgot to mention that earlier. Just any kind of book, it goes without saying, any kind of book where it's a potential that it could be a trigger for you, or if you know that you're a sensitive person for certain topics, just check trigger warnings before you read any book. That's kind of like my general rule of thumb. If you know that certain things really bother you to the point where you're gonna be really emotionally messed up by it, just make sure that you're reading all of the what's it called, all like the warnings and the stuff in the front of the book. What's it called? Why am I blanking? Like the dedications and everything, the intro of the book. Just make sure that you're really paying attention to the front of the book before you read a book. But I also wanted to say that I don't really know how I feel about this book. I don't really have any direct complaints about this book. I just feel kind of about it. Like, I feel like it's just okay. The book's just okay. There's a lot of substance and I feel like it's kind of overwhelming with how much is going on. I feel like this would be made into a really good movie, and I wonder if it was ever made into a movie. I feel like they would have a lot of substance to work with and it could be a very interesting movie. I just was kind of bored with the book, and I don't know if that's the writing or if that's because I'm listening to it on audio. And sometimes I will admit that I don't always put 100% of my attention into the book when I do audiobooks, so I feel like I need to be better at really paying attention when I'm listening to audiobooks, because if I'm not really paying attention, then you can't really put that on the book, you know? Because if I was reading it, I wonder how I would like it. There's a lot of characters to keep straight. Sometimes I'm listening, I'm like, wait, who is this again? Because there's that sister, then that daughter, then that mom, then that guy, and then there's two guys, same last name, but they refer to him as their last name, so you're talking, so it's like, is it that guy with that last name or that guy with that last name? Is it the dad or the son or the brother? And you get kind of confused, so it's hard to kind of keep them straight. I almost need like a diagram on a whiteboard to remember who is who. So I don't know. I don't really know how I feel. I'm just gonna finish it and then we'll do final thoughts tomorrow morning and kind of conclude this video. This video has kind of been all over the place because the books are very different. We went from a fantasy to a literary fiction to a thriller. So this has been all over the place. I can't wait to edit this video and kind of see all of the mixed emotions. So So I think I'm gonna start editing the intro and stuff like that tonight, and then tomorrow we'll kind of finish it up and give final thoughts and final ratings. I'm going to enjoy my cookie and my milk, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Jump scare, I still have to get ready, but I wanted to show my avocado toast because it's delicious. And my coffee was so good I made a second one. So good. I added cottage cheese to my avocado mash and it's amazing. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back and we're actually ready for the day. Let's finally recap our 3 very, very different books of the week. First, I have to find them all. I don't know where Into the Water is. It was on my floor. All right, put them in order. These are 3 books of the week. Very different books. We have 1 fantasy, 1 literary fiction, 1 thriller. So let's do our final rankings and see how we feel about them. First up, we have Onyx Storm. This is the Target edition because I already put the other edition on my shelf. Yes, it is very consumerism of me to have 2 copies, but I managed to snag this and I'm not letting it go. But I do like the other version more. I've had some time to think and I am truly appalled and upset. Not appalled, that's dramatic. I am upset and scared for where this series is going. I love this series so much. Rebecca Yarros can do no wrong when it comes to writing these books, but the ending of this one has me so nervous. Throughout this entire book, I was very nervous about the outcome and how Zayden and Violet would fix this issue that they're having. They have a problem in their relationship, a very big problem that's keeping them apart, and that breaks my heart because they are lovely and wonderful and I love them. But this is a 5-star book. It's 5 stars. I love this book so much with my heart. I love all of the books, honestly. I think they're all 5 stars. I think Iron Flame was a 4.5, 4.5, but this one's a 5 stars. I felt that she packed so much into this book without it being too much. By the time I got halfway through and I remembered all the stuff that had already happened, I was like, wow, they've done so much in this book and we're only halfway through. But it didn't feel confusing. It didn't feel like there was too much happening. I really liked the pacing of the book. I love all the characters and I like how she lets some people evolve and show their personality a little more. We got a little more of one of the side characters, Riddick. We got a little more of a different like side character named Kat, and we start to see more about each of the friend groups. We got more humor from Mira, Violet's sister. I cackled so hard when the person confused Dane and Zayden, and when Mira was laughing, I was listening to the audiobook and it was hilarious because the graphic audio, she's just cackling in your ear, and it was so funny to see a more humorous side of Mira. 5 stars. I really loved it. I'm very, very excited for the next book. Rebecca Yarros just announced that book 4 will be Zayden's villain arc, so I'm very, very nervous about that, but I love these books. I love dragons. Who doesn't love dragons that talk to you? Especially when it's a graphic audio and everyone has their own actor, so they each have their own personality and their own performance and their own way of speaking. It's amazing. 5 out of 5. So, so good. I need a sip of coffee because my throat is so dry. The next book we have is The Vanishing Half, which I gave a 4-star to. I'm very conflicted about this book because I really do like it. Overall, I like the book. I think it's a very important book. I think it's a good book. I'm just a little confused, you know? Because there's a lot going on. You really have to pay attention to all the people, who is connected to who, because it goes very fast and people evolve very fast. So there's 2 main twins. You'll be in Desiree's point of view, and then you jump to her daughter's point of view, and then her daughter goes from age 12 to age 18, and she's going to college within 1 chapter, so you really just have to keep up. That being said, it is still very easy to understand, easy to read. I am not a genius by any means. An average person can follow along to this book. You just have to pay attention and actually be interested in the plot. Otherwise, I feel like it can be a very slow, not action-packed book for you. It's confusing to me because I want to say that there's no plot, but there is a plot. It reads more like a memoir, like someone telling you their life story, versus a fictional book that has a plot line that takes you from from A to B. You're learning about all these people and about their lived experience, and it feels like it's real, which is also very interesting because I'm sure these people do exist in some capacity. There's a lot of talk about racism and colorism and how that impacts people and people around them and how they live their life and what opportunities they get in life, which is a very real thing. So it's very interesting. I really liked it. I do feel like people should read this book. I don't really see it talked about that often, at least by bigger creators. I'm wondering the general consensus about this book. I do like it. I do think it's very good. I'm just a little confused. I just wish that there was a more purposeful plot, like some type of thing. But that just might be coming from me who loves to read fantasy books. I've been on a huge fantasy kick, so my brain might just be locked in that headspace looking for that like big plot line. So that might just be on me, jumping from fantasy to literary fiction. It's kind of a big jump when I've just been reading fantasy books back to back to back. That might just be on me and my headspace, but overall, very good book, very important book. And now I'm interested to know what her book, The Mothers, is about. So I might look into that next. And our final book, Into the Water. This one, it was interesting. I didn't really know how to feel. I'm leaning towards a 3.5. I think when I rated it on Goodreads earlier, I gave it a 3. I think now I'm gonna give it a 3.5, just because I feel like it earned that half. Here's the thing. I think it's a very interesting, unique plot. I think the characters are very different and diverse. Not diverse in the means of diversity, like race or ethnicity or sexuality, but more diverse in ways of thinking, of personalities. But at the same time, it was a little boring. I think objectively talking about the book, I think it is a good book, but talking about my experience reading it, I think I was a little bored. But that being said, it is not a boring book. I just think, again, it might have been my mindset. Maybe I'm just stuck in this fantasy rut, and any book I read right now that's not fantasy is just not gonna hit as well. I'm not sure, but this is a very interesting book. There's a lot of mysteries. There's this huge river, I think it's a river, some type of body of water. It's the drowning pool is what they call it. So I don't know if it's a pond or a river, I can't remember, but people keep going missing. People keep being found in this body of water. And I was thinking the other day, I remembered early in the book, they were talking about the rumors of what happened in this area for the witch trials and how they would send young girls there to test them to see if they're a witch, and they would end up just unaliving them because they thought they were a witch and they weren't. So it's very interesting. There's a lot going on. There's so many characters. Again, this is another book where there's so many characters, so you have to pay attention to who is who, and you also get the point of views of each of the characters. I don't think every single one, but many different characters. So it's not like you get one point of view or 2 point of views and then you just have to keep track of the side characters. You get point of views from at least 6 different characters. So you just have to remember while you're reading it, who are they again? Because they're that person, and then there's people with the same last name, and then it's like, is that the son or the father? And then is that the mother-daughter have similar names? So it's like, wait, is that the mother? Is that the daughter? It's a lot going on, but I do think it is a very interesting book. I think this author did a very good job making a very interesting story. I just don't know if it was my personal favorite. I definitely encourage you guys to read it because I would love to hear your feedback if you had the same interpretation or if you really, really loved it. I don't know if it's just a me thing or if it's just a writing thing. I'm not really sure, but it is objectively very, very interesting. So please let me know what you think. If you read this or if you're going to read it, please leave a comment if you read it. I'm out of breath. I'm talking so fast, I'm out of breath. I'm not usually a fast talker, so now I'm tired. But these are the 3 books that we read on my physical TBR. I'm very excited to finally chip away at my physical TBR. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I have over 200 books on my physical TBR. So I'm glad that these 3 are finally off the list and I can put them on my red part of the shelf. I definitely plan on doing this video again, but leave me different suggestions of what I could incorporate into these types of videos. I'm thinking about doing a reading my physical TBR, but my boyfriend chooses the books off my physical TBR. I'm also thinking about doing reading off my physical TBR, but I have to read a certain amount of pages a day, or I do like a random wheel of number of pages I have to read a day, or ask Siri the number of pages I read a day. So please let me know any unique suggestions to incorporate because I really got to work on this TBR. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you love any type of reading content. I love making reading content. I love making reading vlogs. So please follow along for future videos. Also, just to shout out my small business, we just launched some new bookmarks. So if you are curious, the link is always in the description. But thank you again for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.